All right, welcome to AI Pulse, the show that's all AI news made by AI. Today we're diving into the major stories from March 26th, 2026, and let me tell you, it feels like a huge turning point for the whole industry. We're calling it the Great AI Correction.
And this quote right here from our sources at 36KR just hits the nail on the head. You know that whole phase of concept hype and endless promises? It feels like that's winding down. Now people are asking a much tougher question. Okay, but where's the actual value? And that single question is sending ripples through everything, from the stock market all the way to the big AI labs. So where do we see the first signs of this big correction? Well, you got to follow the money, right? It's all happening in the markets. That early euphoria where you could slap AI on just about anything and watch it fly is finally crashing into the hard wall of economics. And the numbers are just wild. A huge sell-off hit AI stocks and hit them hard. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap just gone. This isn't some small dip, folks. It's like a wave of anxiety washing over investors who are suddenly looking at those sky-high prices and getting really nervous.
Okay, but here's where it gets kind of weird and really fascinating. Bank of America analysts pointed out this paradox at the heart of the panic. On one hand, investors are worried that the nearly $700 billion being poured into AI infrastructure is just a massive bubble waiting to pop. But at the exact same time, they're also afraid that AI is getting so good, so cheap, that it's going to make all software basically free, killing profits. So wait, how can both of those things be true?
And look, this reality check isn't just about stocks. That buzz around AI agents, the little AI buddies that are supposed to do tasks for you, that's cooling off too. People are finding out that while the idea is amazing, the reality, well, it's a bit unstable and not super practical for everyday stuff just yet. It's like we're moving past the cool toy phase and asking, okay, but what can it do for me today? Now, if you want the perfect example of this whole shift from hype to business reality, the absolute perfect story, it's the bombshell news we got about one of the most talked about AI tools from the last year. Yeah, you heard that right. In a move that honestly shocked a lot of people, OpenAI announced it's shutting down Sora, its incredible AI video generator. This was the tool that was all over the internet, making these mind-blowing videos. And now, OpenAI is just pulling the plug. And this is where the competition gets fierce. The second OpenAI steps back, its rivals pounce. Who jumps in immediately? Elon Musk. He basically says, fine, our company, xAI, is doubling down. The race is so far from over, it's just getting a lot more interesting. But here's the thing you have to understand. This wasn't really about Sora failing. It was about focus. Sora was a beast. It cost an absolute fortune to run. So OpenAI is making a really smart business move. They're pivoting to what's called enterprise-first AI, taking all that massive computer power and pointing it at business customers who have steady budgets and sign long-term deals. So, okay, if consumer apps and AI agents are in a bit of a cool down, where's all the energy and, let's be honest, the big money going? The answer seems to be the real world. And this is where we start talking about something called physical AI. We're not just talking about code living in the cloud anymore. This is AI that can actually, see and understand and do things in the physical world. We're talking advanced robots, super smart factories, that kind of thing.
And look, if you ever want a clue about where this whole industry is headed, you just watch NVIDIA. They're the ones making the chips for pretty much everyone. And at their big conference, GTC, they made it totally clear. Their entire future is built around this idea of physical AI.
And the amount of money we're talking about here it's just staggering. The projected orders for their next-gen chips, the ones that will power this whole revolution, $1 trillion in just its first year. Let that number sink in. That is where the industry is literally placing its bets.
And this stuff isn't science fiction, it's happening right now. Durabook just launched a rugged computer for doing AI work on site. MIT's got a new system to help warehouse robots not crash into each other. And then, get this, a humanoid robot shows up at a White House summit. It's going mainstream fast.
So let's just double-click on that MIT thing for a second. This new system for their warehouse robots, it's not just a tiny improvement. In their tests, it boosted how many packages they could handle by 25%. That is a huge, tangible gain. This is exactly that value implementation we were talking about at the start. And back to that White House summit. Melania Trump's quote is pretty wild, right? She's talking about AI taking on a human form so it can operate in a world that's, built for us humans. It just goes to show you this idea has gone all the way to the top. Okay, so here's what I think is maybe the most interesting part of this whole story. While the market is totally freaking out and everyone's worried about the hype cycle, away from all that noise, the real science, the really hard, deep tech, isn't just continuing, it's actually picking up speed. I mean, just listen to this list of breakthroughs. First, you've got literal mind control, with China approving a brain-computer interface that lets paralyzed patients move things with their thoughts. Then, you've got a new world record in nuclear fusion, a massive leap for clean energy. And finally, tiny little nanobots are performing surgery inside the body without a single cut. This isn't hype. This is the real deal. And all of this kind of brings us to our last big idea today. As the whole AI industry starts to mature, it's getting way more serious about figuring out what its ultimate goal, intelligence, even means. And this new hackathon from Google DeepMind is the perfect example. They're basically saying, hey, instead of us all just claiming we're getting closer to artificial general intelligence, let's actually build some real, scientific tests to prove it. It's a shift from just making claims to actually measuring progress. So what are we actually talking about here? Well, instead of just seeing if an AI can write a poem, they're trying to test for these 10 core cognitive abilities. We're talking about real stuff like reasoning, learning, memory, even social skills, the very things that make up what we call general intelligence. So what this all boils down to is a massive shift in thinking. The big question is changing. It's not whose AI is the biggest anymore. It's becoming, does this AI actually have what it takes to understand and navigate the world the way we do? And that really leaves us with this one big question to think about. This whole great AI correction, it might feel chaotic, right? With the market panic and big strategy changes. But what if it's necessary? As AI moves from being just an idea to being a real thing in our world, maybe, just maybe, we're finally starting to ask the right questions.